Hello. So, this is my first book review. Go easy on me. Thank you. Um, I just got my Kindle. This is what we're going to be reviewing, Things We Never Got Over. So, yeah, this is my first book on the Kindle. I recommend the Kindle. It's my first book. I've had a good time with it. Anyway, I started this on Monday. It is now Thursday. So, it was a quick read. Very, easy. It flowed. So, but this is like a 565 page book, so it's a long one. So anyway, what this book is about is this woman named Naomi, who is a runaway bride. We, as the reader, we quickly learn this. Kind of first scene, it just drops you into the action, which I love. I love when it's like boom, you're right into it. So it starts off with her arriving at this coffee shop, and we find out that she has a twin sister named Tina that lured her into coming to that lured her into coming to this town called Knockemout in Virginia, and she basically is in a bind, and she's like, I need some money, I need some help, I need stuff, so can you come here and meet me? So she arrives where she's supposed to be, and quickly she realizes her sister totally played her, which she's also not surprised by because her sister is like kind of like the not good sister, I guess you could say. And Tina like takes all of her money and her valuables, and she also leaves her with her daughter. So Tina's daughter, Naomi's niece, and she's like Waylay is her name, and she's about 11 years old, and she is just Naomi's just like, whoa, okay, all of a sudden I have this responsibility of this child, and where's all my stuff? She like took her car, her phone. Naomi herself like broke it accidentally at a gas station, so she basically has nothing. And then she also very quickly meets the love interest. His name is Knox, and they don't get along immediately because it's a kind of like, this is like a grumpy sunshine trope in a small town, and it's a forced proximity. So quickly they kind of find themselves in an intertwined type of life where Naomi ends up like working for him because she needs to make money, and she also lives near him because she needs a place to live because the motel's not a good place. So this is all stuff you find out really quickly, but it's really great, and I love, like I said, how it drops you straight into the book right away. So the first half of the book, I would say, is amazing. I loved it. It was super fast paced. There's lots of great banter because he's grumpy. She's like not putting up with his shit, but they're having a good time, and she's like figuring out her way. And she herself, you quickly learn as well, is a people pleaser. So she wanted to come and help out her sister, even though she knew like might not like, you know, her sister has a rep. So like she knew like, oh well, we'll see what happens type of thing. And with Waylay, the niece, she immediately like saw the issue, and she said, okay, well now she's my problem. So she like basically tries to address as many problems as she can, and she ends up juggling a lot, and as you find out, maybe more than she can handle. And anyway, so throughout the beginning of this book, she really finds her place in this town, Knockemout, and it's really nice to see everybody like coming together, the town being there for her, and then also figuring out this dynamic, I guess you could say, I don't know the best way to phrase it, with Knox that happens throughout the first half of the book. So I'm just gonna say I loved the first half. The first half, there was the ultimate also like tension between Naomi and Knox, which I live for the tension. I live for the like all of that, the yearning in books and whatnot. And you could tell they both like had attraction and interest in each other, but he was like grumpy, and like I said, she doesn't put up with any of his shit. So anyway, a lot of fun. So if I were to rate the book on the first half, I would say it is 5 stars, 5 out of 5. I could not put it down. Like I said, I finished the whole thing in like only 3 days, and I finished more than the first half in the first day. So that beginning was like, could not put it down, which I that's something that is really valuable to me as a reader. So everybody has different things that they care about from that in terms of what makes a book good, and to me it was really good because of the first half. So going on to the second half, I felt that as soon as that happened, to me, I was like, oh, the excitement is kind of dissolved now because it happened, and you're expecting that they're going to end up together at the end anyway, so they're already kind of like hitting it off. And although they're not like for sure happy married, going off like everything's great, they had the tension broke, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like all right, so what's happening now? And it was predictable. That's all I'm gonna say. So at least from my perspective, and that's just not as fun. It's just not as fun to read when I'm like knowing, probably expecting where it's gonna head. And I will say also that in the beginning, how I said she didn't put up with his like stuff, and they were pushing back against each other, and that was fun. That banter was really fun to me as a reader. I was like eating that shit up. But after that tension broke, I felt like he didn't stop with the banter, and she just kind of like gave in. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best way to explain it, but the banter wasn't as fun because they kind of had given in to each other. I'm not entirely sure the best way to phrase it. But anyway, I would say the second half of the book, because of how predictable it was and how I didn't love the way he was treating her, which I'll go back more into in the second half of this review. Also, I felt that it dragged. That was the third thing I think that stood out. So because of those three factors, the predictability, his actions, and also the way it was dragging, made me think it was more of 3 out of 5 in the second half. So I'd say all in all, four-star book, 4 out of 5. Which isn't bad. Honestly, I really liked this book. Like, you have to really like it if you're going to read that much that quickly. At least for me, that's how I am. So, that was really great. But anyway, that's my review. I'm going to go into spoilers now. So if you haven't read this book and you're just using this as a first review to see if you're into reading it, I do recommend reading it. I think it's great. Like I said, 4 out of 5 stars for the whole book. But yeah, there are just a few things that didn't sit right with me, I guess you could say. But all in all, if you're looking for a rom-com, this total rom-com, I totally found myself like laughing out loud a few times, which I really enjoy. Like if it's just straight romance the whole time, it's great. Don't get me wrong, great. But I like, everybody likes to laugh and whatever. So it's nice to just toss some of that, sprinkle that in there as well. Makes it fun and fluffy and good time. But anyway, in terms now of the spoiler section, so pause, split here if you haven't read the book. But now here are my further opinions about Knox. So, a few things I didn't like about Knox. I'm just gonna go down a quick list just made for myself. Just boom, boom, boom. I like to have it all here. So, throughout the book, I'm just gonna go down the list. So there was a lot of snatching. I didn't like that he was like snatching things a lot. I just was like, stop snatching. Like they said it a few times throughout the book, and I was like, I don't like when people grab things without permission. It's just not. And if it's once, whatever. If it's cute, fun, whatever. But like there were times it didn't sit right. He was pretty violent, like in ways that I felt weren't necessary, like trying to play the hero, but in a way that he didn't need to. I don't know. Too much violence. Again, a little is fine, but overdone in my opinion. And a lot of this stuff was overdone. Like that's what the issue was a little like some of this is fine, but too much is too much. So he uses his strength to control situations. He makes her deal with ultimatums, which I feel like can be really toxic. So, for example, when Warren had arrived, he said if she didn't let him touch her, then he was going to go and beat up Warren more than was necessary. Like the point had been made. He didn't. It was just annoying, and lots of yelling, and not like cute, fun yelling, like angry, cursing, yelling at her. Not cool. Always coming to the rescue, like always. He was the one. He was the hero. She was the damsel in distress. He was gonna pull up, which again is fun. Sometimes overdone. Then it's overdone, and I'm like, okay, no. So like for example, when Waylay always needs a parent figure, and if Naomi can't figure it out, he was the one. He was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna spit some knowledge on you. I got this right here. Like he always had the right thing to say. It was too perfect, too repetitive, too much. The way he was always saying like good girl to Naomi, or you're my girl, or he would say my girl is talking about Naomi and Waylay, when meanwhile Naomi's freaking 36. Like, sorry, but no, I don't know. It was weird. It didn't, I don't know. Also, talking about her ex-fiance while they were having sex, like saying, he didn't deserve you, I'm going to show you what you deserve, and just, I don't know, other things didn't, I don't know. Really commanding, demanding, and controlling, telling Naomi that she had no right to be mad after he had dumped her, because she didn't understand. Like, first of all, you can't tell somebody that they don't have a right to feel the way that they feel, so just stop, Forcing people into situations gets you what you want, which is not a good message that Naomi should be teaching to her niece. So it just didn't get received well by me. if she's trying to be a good role model, she shouldn't take that kind of treatment from her love partner. I don't know. And then also at the end, he was saying that Knox was telling Naomi she wasn't allowed to tell him. She wasn't allowed to tell him that she loved him because he wanted her to wait a week. And then it turned out he wanted her to wait until he had proposed. But like, he was like, I can say it to you, but you can't say it yet. You're not allowed. Shut the fuck up. Bye. Weird. I don't know. I mean, again, so all that said, I feel like sometimes these things are fine if they help the story along and if it's good. And it's just a sprinkle here and there, but it just became, a lot of that just became his personality, like too much of it. And I just wasn't loving that. But all that said, I still loved this book. This book was still great. I really enjoyed it. I loved their dynamic, like I said, especially in the beginning because she wasn't putting up with all that, and it was good the way she was pushing against it, and it made it comical and fun and really engaging as a reader, to me at least. So I loved that. I actually got really frustrated though with him, and at a certain point I kind of said, after he had dumped her and she was like moving on and she had the support system that she needed to move on, like she had the people that she needed, excuse me, it got to a point where she was like, I'm the new Naomi, like I know what I need to do and I'm good and I don't need this, I'm independent. And right there, and she like put Knox in his place, like he was like, you're not reacting the way I want you to, I just want to check that you're safe, why do you have to be like this? Like he was just being total like goodbye. I that's how I felt. And Naomi was feeling that too, and I was loving that. I was like, yes girl, stand up for yourself, like do it, you got this, badass woman. And it just was, and then I was like, that's the perfect place, like just end it, like look, you don't need him, bye. I mean, it's nice of course that they ended up together, but after all that stuff that I was seeing him, that toxicity and the commanding, the ultimatums, and I don't know, it's just too much, and again, overdone. So it made me not love that they, I don't know, I mean, I think of course they were happy in the end, and it's a book, so it was a great story, and again, I'm still giving it a good rating, and I really enjoyed it. But anyway, also great spicy scenes, not complaining at all. All the spice, bring it on, good time. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything. I think I loved. I just also want to say I loved her first shift at the bar. That was the best. I literally loved that scene so much. We have a visitor. Here he is. Yeah. Anyway, so just this is my first review, so I know it's a little scattered all over the place, but I really did enjoy the book. I had a lot of fun reading it. Had a lot of fun using the Kindle. I'm just looking over any of the other stuff, but yeah, I really enjoyed the tension in the beginning. That was super good. I will say, once it broke, I was like, what else am I fighting for in this book? You know what I mean? Like fighting for them. They weren't officially together, but anyway, really great book, so I do recommend you read it if you're into rom-coms. I still think it'll sit right. But I also just wanted to do this because I saw so many reviews that were like, this is the best book, I love this is so amazing. But there were a few things I just wanted to point out because I think that it's fair to say those. And I think, like I said, the biggest things were the repetitive nature, the amount that it dragged, and kind of his vibe sometimes, like that whole list I went down. So, and the predictability also. So anyway, thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. That's my first book review. Woo!